Brilliant Color is the largest segment of hair color business in the industry and continues to grow.
Busy, high-volume salons need a color brand that offers complete service portfolio with options in permanent and in demi-permanent. And this is what hairdressers want, color that protects hair quality and health.
Color XG is developed in Italy by top color experts.
This permanent vegan cream color offers the perfect fusion of coverage, reliability, and healthy looking shine.
So whether you're looking for vibrant reds, up to 100% great coverage, high-performing naturals and cool tones, this specially curated collection creates results guests want every single time.
Formulated with the unique Dye Smart system resulting in greater longevity and brilliant vibrancy. This is for the guest looking for on-trend fashionable hair color, the guest who's in the salon committed to ensuring their hair color is fresh at all times.
Enjoy more in this introductory class with Color XG. Trusted performance, brilliant results.
It all starts with the foundation. Paul Mitchell, the Color XG color map. Let's break down this color map a little bit and understand how this really works. So if we look at the outer bar, this is going to give us the natural levels that we're dealing with on the hair canvas. The next triangles on the inside are going to give us the dominant pigment that we're dealing with at that level. The next ring is the color series, where these colors live. And inside of that is where all of Paul Mitchell Color XG colors live according to the color map. So we have our pure tones that live on the outside. This is no base. As you get into that gradient center, you start to see our blends. This is where we're either gonna have a brown to tan base, or we're gonna have a black to gray base. And when you get into that bullseye center, we now have our NB, our N, and our NN. These all have a brown to tan base, but have a softer and deeper saturation of color. Inside that ring are all of the Paul Mitchell Color XG colors and where they live according to the color map. Now that we've talked about foundation, let's look into formulation. So when we look to formulate, we want to look at a couple things. We want to look at that level of lift. We want to look at the developer chosen and the processing time. So if I'm looking to just deposit color and get minimal lift, I'm going to use 10 volume developer and I'm going to process for 25 minutes. If I'm looking to get 1 to 2 levels of lift, I'm going to use 20 volume developer. This is also going to give me maximum gray coverage, and that's going to process for 35 minutes. If I'm looking to get 2 to 3 levels of lift, then I'm going to step up to 30 volume developer, and I'm going to process for 45 minutes. Now, if I'm really looking to push that boundary and get 3 to 4 levels of lift on this virgin hair, I want to make sure that I use 40 volume, and I'm going from 45 to 55 minutes. 45 minutes is going to be for that little bit finer texture hair. 55 minutes is going to be for that little bit more coarse textured hair. We also have our high lifts and ultra toners. Now the high lifts are great because it gives us that opportunity to really push the boundary in a natural lift. So I can get up to 4 levels of lift. That's not going to look like I've used a lightener, but I can get 4 levels of lift on level 6 or higher. This is where I'm going to go 1 part my high lift and 2 parts my 40 volume developer. With my ultra toners, this is great for really controlling that lightened hair that I've now used my lightener on, and I want to control that tone or add tone. So I can use my 10 volume developer on damp hair, and I'm going to process that for 5 to 15 minutes. I'm going to get the opportunity to control in that 5-minute range or really deposit in that 15-minute range. Now that we've talked about the foundation, we've talked about formulating, let's really get into some formulas. With the brilliant vibrancy of Paul Mitchell Color XG, we can also add some intensifiers. So as we look at these gorgeous colors, we have some intensifiers we can add in. We have blue, violet, red, and orange. And I've shown just a couple options here so you can see with our formulas how we've utilized those. With the intensifiers, for the best practices, we want to make sure we use 2 ounces of our desired formula and 1/4 ounce of our desired intensifier. Now I've played around a little bit, I've had some fun, but that is the recommended to start with. Always start there so that you can build from that and you can come away from that. It lets you see the intensity and the vibrancy first, and then you can add more. Now I'm going to give you a little different ratio. When I'm working with these in smaller amounts, I like to work with grams sometimes. 30 grams is equivalent to 1 ounce. So as we look at these ratios, I used in the middle, I started with my 7 RO, and you can see the vibrancy and the depth of that. but I wanted to go a little heavier with the orange intensifier. So I did 30 grams to 10 grams, or a third of my formula with orange. And you can see how it brightens it up and it allows it to be more on the orange side than on the red-orange side. Now let's intensify your business with some gray coverage. With Paul Mitchell The Color XG, there's two areas that we can kind of pay attention to. Below 50% gray and above 50% gray. When we talk about below 50% gray, we're sticking with our traditional additive as far as covering gray. I'm gonna have my formula and I'm adding in NB, N, or NN for my gray coverage based off of the right ratio. When I'm above 50% gray, I kind of have a path that I get to have a Y in the road. And I have the opportunity to go to our designated Cover Smart or continue on that same traditional journey. So I need to add more NB, N, NN into my formula based off of the chart to get my gray coverage. But when I need maximum gray coverage, I can go to my Cover Smart and I can use that individual tube in the tonal base I want. The NN, the copper, the red, the BA, all to give me a cool, warm, or neutral gray coverage out of one tube. Let's look at some gray coverage options. Paul Mitchell The Color XG Cover Smart. This gives me the option to really look at that second path where I go towards Cover Smart or I stay on our traditional path. This is 98% gray hair, and I utilize this to show the best example of gray coverage. So what I've done is I've taken our 6R in Paul Mitchell Color XG and I've paired it next to our 66R Cover Smart Color XG. And you can see the richness of the red, but you can see the depth and the red tone in the Cover Smart. So if I went down the traditional path, I could take my 6R, add in NB, N, or NN to deepen it, or I could just use my Cover Smart 66R. Now that we understand how to build this house of success with Paul Mitchell Color XG, looking at the foundation of the color map and how all of those tones and colors play, looking into the structure through processing and formulation, looking at what developers, processing times, and then looking at that roof, the cap with the gray coverage and the intensifiers and how to maximize our formulations and get the longevity out of our color. Now for me, when I use this color in my salon behind the chair, I really love that my guests leave looking vibrant, looking shiny, and the reason I grab this is because I have guests that want to maximize their end results. They want to maximize their gray coverage, and this gives me a wide range from subtle to max on intensity, from subtle to maximum on gray coverage, and everything in between that so that I can be the most successful behind the chair. Now that you have what you need to know to get started with Paul Mitchell Color XG, please join us at paulmitchell.com for any more resources to help you be the most successful behind the chair.